Welcome to TMZ Live. Charles here.
I'm Alex Michelson filling in for Harvey Levin today.
Thank you very much, Alex, for stepping in. You've been doing listen, we got to get you a desk here. We got to get you more comfortable. Yeah. And you got the memo on the black.
That's it.
We're all good. We're going to start with Will Smith, who is addressing that moment that still clearly is sort of haunting him, the slap of Chris Rock. And he is addressing it on his new album, which just came out. It's called Will Smith, based on a true story. And this song is clearly based on his true story. It's called Interior Barbershop Day. And it's basically Will talking about all the things that people have been saying about him for now, and it's hard to believe it's been this long, but 3 years ago, when the slap happened, everybody had an opinion. Mm-hmm. And he is basically getting all those opinions out in the song. It features DJ Jazzy Jeff and B. Simone as well. Here is a little bit of it.
Will Smith is canceled. Oh, you can't cancel no icon. I heard he down bad.
I heard he won the Oscar, but he had to give it back.
And you know they only made him do that. Will Smith is whack.
I mean, he rich, funny, and sexy too. You wish you had a Jada Pinkett next to you.
Him and Jada both crazy, girl. What you talking about? You better keep his wife's name out of your mouth.
So he did not lose his Oscar. He didn't have to give it back.
That is not accurate. Again, it's based on.
Yeah, based on what people might be saying. But he has been banned from attending the Oscars for a decade after this, which clearly is still top of his mind. And it is interesting. It seems like the world hasn't totally moved on from it either. When you think about Will Smith, this is the first thing that so many people think of.
Right, and I think that's why he probably felt like he had to do something about it on the album. Even though I do think most people have moved past it. Yes, it is. We always talk about this. If, God forbid, anything ever happened to Will Smith, what's the first thing that they say about him? Is it the Oscar slap? Is it Fresh Prince? Is it the fact that he won an Oscar?
Yeah, Men in Black.
Men in Black. But the slap is pretty high on the list.
I think a lot of people feel, at least I feel like as a fan, that he hasn't adequately addressed it in the past, in a real way, right. Where he actually apologized for what happened, where we actually got context of why it happened. And so I was, as a fan, never really able to move on from it in a way that I would like to. And so that is the first thing I think of. I feel like if he would have addressed it more clearly years ago, maybe we wouldn't be here, but maybe this is the way he feels most comfortable addressing it in his music, his first new project in 20 years.
You know, the thing that I'd like to hear is how Chris Rock feels about it. I think if Chris Rock says, hey, look, I've moved on, good, rap about it, say whatever you want to say, but I'm moving on with my life. And I think then everybody else is free to then move on. He has talked about it a little bit in interviews. Now, obviously, we've got the song. At a certain point, I think just everybody needs to move past this. It was a massive moment.
Yeah, it was a massive moment. But, Mike, you know why he's doing this is because he has a world tour that he's kicking off now. And
yeah, for sure. And it's successful,
and saying
Charles,
anything
right?
about
We're
it.
talking about it.
Right. And anything that he says about the slap, he knows will get attention. We will mention that he has a world tour coming up. Will you actually hear that song when he's performing? I doubt it. I mean, one, it's not really a song he's rapping. It's
an intro song.
It's like a bunch of voices. Maybe you'll hear it. You'll play it on, before he comes out.
It's not the greatest. I don't know he's going to win a Grammy. We know the Oscar. I don't know he's going to win a Grammy for that one. It kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's not going to get the crowd up and moving. So it's not one of those. But it's to get people talking about it and to mention the fact that he's got this tour where you'll hear.
Are you interested in the music, though? Do you want to hear new music from Will Smith?
No. And I will say this, Will, and that's not a knock on Will, but Will as a musician is what we call a legacy act now, right? And Katy Perry's in this category too. People don't want to hear your new songs. They want to hear the classic hits that they grew up with, and if they go see you perform, that's all you got to do.
Hi, my name is Keats, and I'm from DC. I really enjoyed Will's song. I think this is a completely different version of Will that we've seen in the past. For me and for a lot of us, I think we held Will at this perfect image. And over the years, there's been a shift in that image. And I think this is Will's version of acknowledging that he's not that perfect image that a lot of us had. And I think this new version of Will is going to be more honest and a bit more transparent. And I'm actually really looking forward to what his album is going to be putting out.
I think that's why the slap was such a big deal, was because it was so different from that image that we all had thought of him for 20 plus years. And then in 1 second, he erased all of that and left all of us wondering, who is this guy?
Right.
That's part of why I've always wanted him to talk about it more, but maybe this is the start of that.
Yeah. Well, we will see. And the other thing he didn't address really is what's going on with him and Jada.
What is up with that?
I don't know. I don't know where they are.
That could be a whole TMZ documentary.
Well, speaking of which, we have a new one out right now on Tubi. It is called The Downfall of Diddy, His Defense, where we are exploring what is going to be his strategy when this trial begins in just a couple of months. And one thing that is very clear from all the defense experts that we spoke to for this documentary, race will absolutely be a big factor in how they present this case and the facts that they present, the facts that they're going to lay out to the jury. So here is just a little clip of some very renowned defense attorneys we spoke to and why this is, and his attorneys have already said some stuff where they're alluded to race and the fact that they feel they're going after Diddy just because he is a rich, a very successful black man. It goes deeper than that, and here is what you can expect when this trial begins.
Race permeates everything in the criminal justice system, period, end of story.
Race is tremendously important in this case, and anybody that pretends otherwise is either kidding themselves or just not being honest.
Do you think the defense can point to the case of Elliot Spitzer, who was the governor of New York, who paid $80,000 to prostitutes to cross state lines? He was not prosecuted. And this is the same U.S. Attorney's Office that is now prosecuting Diddy. So the argument they would make is, what's really the difference other than one guy is black and one guy is white?
I think it's a great argument. If I'm the defense lawyer, I'm making the same argument.
The government's not beyond propaganda, public relations. Let's face it, that's their business. They're better at it than anyone. I really do believe our government's not beyond exploiting race when it's convenient for them. And just looking at this situation, I think that's what we're looking at.
And, you know, whether you agree with that or not, first off, Mark Garagos, his daughter is one of the attorneys for Diddy. So one of the folks that you interview there, so, which gives you some insight on where they may be going.
I'm guessing he probably knows something about where they're going to go.
But what you guys did in this fascinating documentary, which I recommend to people, and again, I don't work here, so I'm just saying this objectively, it's really good. You brought together this mock trial of mock jurors who watched this whole thing play out, and it was a diverse jury. And you could feel the race argument playing out in real time
setting up,
among the jury. And a lot of the black jurors reacted differently than some of the white jurors did, which was really fascinating to see.
It really is why jury selection in this case is everything, as it is in many cases. But here, where you have a case that is going to be somewhat fought on the grounds of race, juries are important. Now, it is certainly not the case that all black jurors are going to go one way and all white jurors are going to go another way. And there are very highly paid jury consultants that are going to be helping both sides to pick those jurors that are best suited for their case. But there's always compromise in jury selection. You're going to get some people you don't like on both sides. And obviously that's favors the defense because they only need one juror to go their way in order to avoid a conviction. But jury selection is everything here because I also, in that documentary, Alex, that you were mentioning, you know, there are a couple juries there who were just simply not going to see it the way the prosecutors wanted. And when the actual jury comes on, it's the prosecutor's job in jury selection to avoid those jurors.
Yeah, this is, like you said, Jason, jury selection will be everything here. And look, we're not going to give it all away here, but the jury, you know, they heard all the facts. And as you said, Alex, race clearly was something that some of them were thinking about. They did reach a verdict on all 3 counts that Diddy is facing. It's not the slam dunk. If based on this, let's just say that this case may not be the slam dunk that it appears to be to the public right now, because really most of what we heard is what the prosecutors have laid out in the indictment. We know obviously the charges. We know what they're going after him for. You don't know necessarily exactly how it's going to be defended, and this is going to be a very...
And it'll be interesting to see if there's a black prosecutor on this case. Although, as we saw in the OJ case, that doesn't necessarily mean that race is not going to be a factor.
Indeed.
Empress from Atlanta, Georgia, and I have to say that with this Diddy case, you can't blame a black man for trying. I don't believe that that's the greatest defense, but it's really all he has considering the circumstances.
Well, if you watch the documentary, there is more than that.
Yeah, there is more.
They're
not only going to lean on race, but it is going to play a factor. There is a lot that Diddy can start to pick apart here, especially as it comes to what happened at the freak-offs. So all that explored in the documentary, which is available right now on Tubi.
And that's all to say, though, there are some troubling things that Diddy is accused of doing, too.
They got to explain. That video, is the Cassie beating is going to come up, and they're going to have to explain that somehow and remind the jury that that's not what he's charged with, but there's no way
When you see somebody kicking somebody in the head, that's hard to forget.
Right. Okay, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, it is a big day, big weekend ahead for Elon Musk because Tesla Protest Day is going down all across the country. How he's reacting to this, though, is very interesting. He says, if you're someone who's firebombing, that's not who the real villains are. You're going to hear his explanation of who he and President Trump are going after. I got to tell you, freedom of speech is out the window, it seems. Elon Musk is going to be by his phone all weekend, I'm sure, because this is a big, big weekend for Tesla, where we've been talking a lot about the protests against Tesla, the protests outside the dealerships, and in some cases, horrific acts of violence and damaging of property.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make
If you're upset with Doge, to just go and attack somebody else's property who has nothing to do with this and probably was a liberal who bought an EV to try to show solidarity with that cause.
Yeah,
it's
that
just
part,
so stupid.
That part I just don't get. But there's another element to this now, which is freedom of speech, because of something that Elon said last night. He was on with Bret Baier on Fox News, and Bret brought up all of these Tesla protests that have been going on. And listen very carefully to Elon's reaction to this and what he says the president's reaction is to all of this.
What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left. And they believe it. It's really unfortunate. But the real problem is not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it. Those are the real villains here, and we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda. We're going after them.
Well, I think that was very intentionally said that way. But if you're a champion of freedom of speech, it's got to rub you. It's a little scary, right?
Which, of course, was Elon Musk's big reason to buy Tesla or buy Twitter for $44 billion, basically saying he felt like Twitter did not have enough freedom of speech. And the whole point of that was to give much of his fortune over so that there could be more freedom of speech.
So if you are someone who is organizing one of these Tesla protests this weekend, should you be concerned? I said if you're organizing the protest, just organizing it, not talking about acts of violence or damaging of property, but you're organizing a peaceful protest, should you be worried? Joining us right now is Congressman Eric Burleson from U.S. Rep from Missouri. He has been a proponent of what the administration has called domestic terrorism, labeling this sort of violence against Tesla.
Yeah, he's not a proponent of domestic terrorism.
No.
He's a proponent of calling this domestic terrorism. Just to be clear, as we bring in the Republican congressman who's on a scenic tour through the beautiful state of Missouri.
Congressman, welcome to TMZ Live.
It's great to be on.
So what did you think of the way Elon worded that last night as far as what the administration is going to do about these protests?
Yeah, just in first blush, just listening to it, I wouldn't say that I agree with his posture, but I'm going to give him a little bit of grace. Look, Elon is not a politician. Donald Trump is not a politician. They have a different way of saying things, and sometimes the way in which they say it is not exactly what they really are trying to get across. And what I'm kind of reading through what Elon is saying is that, and what's probably what he should have said is that there's a difference between people expressing their First Amendment right, their right to protest, their ability to go and have signs and picket in front of a Tesla facility. That's fine. That is the America that we all respect and want to see. But what I think he's referring to is that this is not exactly organic. There are organizations, there is money, there's people even money coming from foreign entities, foreign actors that hate this country. And I think that we need to be researching that and determining who is spending money to try to create because look, this is what the United States has done for decades to other nations. So let's not be naive to think that this isn't happening in this country.
So who is doing that? Where do you have any evidence of how that's happening?
I can't point to it directly, but look, if you don't think that Russia or China are engaged in some of these efforts to cause disruption in the United States, then you're a fool. And so this has been going on for decades. I think that it's important that we protect free speech and we protect the rights of U.S. citizens to express their views, but we also want to be cognizant of the activities that are happening from our adversaries.
I hear what you're saying about foreign interlopers, Congressman, but there's plenty of evidence just on social media, even news reports, where there are people who are genuinely upset about what Elon Musk is doing with Doge. Whether or not it's an effective way to change what's happening at Doge is a different argument. But that's why a lot of these that's the reason that they're having this Tesla takedown event this weekend. So that's not really about foreign adversaries trying to stir this up. There are Americans who are very clearly upset about this, and this is the way they have chosen to protest. And now, should they be afraid that the administration is going to go after them in some way?
I wouldn't support that. I wouldn't support going after U.S. citizens who are peacefully protesting. I think if Elon were on today, he probably would say the same thing. We all encourage free speech and peaceful protesting. I think that it's a fundamental part of the fabric of America.
How do you say that President Trump is not a politician after the fact that he's run for president 3 times and spent all this time as president and is one of perhaps the most powerful president of our lifetime right now?
Yeah, I think that look, we've gotten used to his rhetoric over the last few years, but it is definitely a different style of speaking. His style of doing things is very different than a politician. And so I think I've worked with politicians for quite some time. He, I would say, is new to politics still.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on, Congressman.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, it is going to be this. We'll see what happens this weekend as far as any response from the government to these protests, if anything happens. We'll be watching. All right. When we come back, Northwest makes her big debut in the music video that set off her father, made Kanye referred to Kim Kardashian as a sex trafficker, child sex trafficker. You will see North in this video, and it's hard to understand what Kanye is saying. We've said that before, but you're going to see why when we come back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall.
It's TMZ.
Well, the song that set Kanye off. You remember just a couple of weeks ago, he was ranting that calling Kim Kardashian a child sex trafficker. And complaining that what he was complaining about was he had seen a cut of a music video that Northwest appears in. It's a song with FKA Twigs. Well, that music video is out now, so we can actually see what was so upsetting to him.
She was a child sex trafficker? Because Kanye is so careful with his word choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He clearly was off in that description. That much we can tell you. The song is called Childlike Things, and North does rap on the song. I don't see anything here that approaches what he was describing, but here is a little bit of it. By the way, so she's rapping about religion. She's doing it in Japanese.
Yeah.
I would think that Kanye would like all of those things. It's kind of like, I mean, it's almost like a tip of the hat to her father.
Is it the cutting in between of the sort of sexualized dancers that maybe makes him uncomfortable when you have an 11-year-old and you're going to poses like that?
Maybe, but that's not anything different than what Kanye's done in some of the projects that he's had North on.
Yeah, he had said that he felt like she was too adult in this music video, but kind of like you guys pointed out, like, it's not like she's wearing anything revealing. It's not like she's twerking. Like, the dance moves are very appropriate, but he felt it was inappropriate. However, her mom, Kim Kardashian, posted like a bunch of behind-the-scenes photos and videos, and she captioned it saying, "So proud of my baby." She was clearly there on set. And, you know, Kanye is just in a war right now with his ex, Kim K. And I think he feels like, oh, she was there. She's responsible for this.
I mean, those dancers were wearing a lot more than Bianca Censori was when he would go out with her. So,
indeed.
I mean, if you're worried about your kid being exposed to the naked body, maybe don't act the way that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a phone and can see everything.
Right. And again, that almost seemed like a verse that he would have written. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all his themes.
All the themes that he likes to hit, and she spent a lot of time with him in Japan. So, like you said, we're trying to make sense of Kanye ranting about something, and that's probably a dangerous place to be.
Hi, guys. I'm Zoe Valencia from Atlanta, Georgia, and we don't need the old Kanye, straight from the gold Kanye. We got a new Kanye. And I was so proud to see Northwest. I personally think she's so beautiful, and she's a perfect mix of talent, beauty, and confidence from both of her parents.
It seemed like a good feature for her. Maybe Kanye will let it go. Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, speaking of Kanye, one of his buddies, Andrew Tate.
What a crowd.
Yeah, the controversial podcaster who we found out did actually record an episode with Kanye. But right now, Andrew Tate is in the middle of a lawsuit as well as a possible police investigation after his ex-girlfriend, Bree Stern, accused him of attacking her on March 11th at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Well, part of her lawsuit, she says that she was diagnosed as post-concussive from the abuse that she says she suffered at his hands.
And his attorney says, not basically buying that at all, saying that could be a bunch of different things and comparing it to going to a nurse's office at school.
Crazy. Talk about downplaying. His attorney told us it's like a kid going into the nurse's office at school saying, "I have a tummy ache," and they want to go home. If the kid keeps telling the nurse their tummy hurts, they'll be sent home. That's their response to someone alleging Andrew Tate had beaten them and almost choked her unconscious.
Yeah, we're starting to see their tactic here is to really muddy up her credibility and say, like, she basically lied to a doctor and said she had some symptoms. Seems like the approach they're taking. They're also saying that that Andrew wouldn't be stupid enough to rough up a girlfriend because he has all the problems going on in Romania and other lawsuits going on. Not sure that's very effective either. If to say that he didn't beat someone because he has other
because he's trying to
lawsuits,
beat another. Right.
It's a strange approach to take. And Tony Busby, who's representing the woman, says, "I expected this sort of idiotic bile to spew out of these, out of his opposition. So he's not backing down either. It'll have to be settled in court."
Yeah, we see where this case.
So
is
we
going.
don't think they're getting back together.
No, that is not going to happen. I should say, I don't think that's.
Let's hope not.
All right, we are going to take a break. When we come back, the Repo Man. Wow, did the Repo Man go through it? Sometimes maybe you shouldn't take your job as seriously as this guy did because it very nearly cost him his life.
Talk about workers' comp.
Yes, you're going to see he survived it, but man, this was crazy, and Memphis police still looking for the suspect. Welcome back to TMZ Live. I don't know about you, but my mom always said, listen, if you're going to do your job, be the best. Try to be the best.
I mean, look at you. Clearly. It's working out okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But this guy in Memphis took it a little too seriously. A repo man who was on the job doing what repo men do. And he definitely takes his job seriously, but took it so seriously, now police are searching for the guy who did what we're about to show you. Now, we will give you a quick warning. This is going to be a little disturbing, this video, but we will tell you that the repo man survived this miraculously.
Yeah.
But they are looking for the suspect. So Phil is the name of the repo man. He's in the middle of getting a car hitched up onto his tow truck, as the repo man does when the guy who owns that car, or who's supposed to be making the payments, shows up and decides he's going to try to get the car out of there before it gets hooked up. Watch this. Phil was very much alert afterward, and we've had to bleep a lot of this because he is yelling, deservedly so, yelling at the driver, telling him, you're going to jail, you're going to owe me a lot of money. And
oh my God.
Video is absolutely insane, guys. And so Phil actually is completely okay. He was transferred.
Not completely
Not completely.
okay.
He had abrasions to his head, and I guess he was complaining of arm pain, which is totally understandable. He was transported to a hospital, and he's basically had he was in stable condition, so he's going to be okay. And the crazy thing is that guy actually is still on the loose, so they obviously tracked down
the driver of the car.
The driver. They tracked down where he lives. He wasn't there, so they're still looking for the driver of the Ford Focus. But, I mean, that repo man, he was committed to the job.
I don't understand how this guy, managed to get away, and the fact that they have not caught him yet is crazy to me. They know it clearly. Phil knows his license plate. They found the car.
They know where he lives.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just a matter of time.
They're going to find the guy. And don't you guys feel that, like, you always think of, like, when you see people getting their car repoed, like, people I feel like always want to do this, but you never actually see someone try to get in their car and
because you wouldn't want to you wouldn't want to threaten someone's life in order to get the car back.
I mean, this looks like a movie scene, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, from any movie.
I don't know when they find this guy what the charge is going to be, but if it's attempted murder, you couldn't.
He's facing aggravated assault is what the cops are saying he's facing.
That's what they're going to charge him with once they catch him, assuming they catch him. But wow. And Phil, kudos, man. But sometimes you got to let it go. Because
I'd hire him, though. Is this not the greatest resume thing ever?
This guy cares about
talk about
his
a
work.
dedicated employee.
Indeed.
Hey, this is Tramel from Staten Island, New York. It's never smart to put your head underneath a vehicle. However, it's a miracle that the repo man wasn't killed during the incident. It's a very dangerous job. Nowadays, this is proof that people will go to extreme measures to protect their form of transportation. But you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, is a 2011 Ford Focus worth potentially catching an attempted murder charge or an aggravated assault charge?
Yeah. Is it worth now, most likely, if you are arrested and convicted? You're going to prison.
I mean, that was a great year for the Ford Focus. Just kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there a great year for the Ford Focus?
Was there a great year? As a former owner of a Ford Escort, I'm pretty sure the Ford Focus. Anyway, let's move on here now to Kim Kardashian and her continuing efforts to become a lawyer. She has taken one more step, one big step toward achieving this goal. You know that she passed the baby bar.
It took her 3 tries, right?
3 tries, but hey, you know
Good
what?
for her. Most people can't pass it. Yeah.
Exactly. But now we found out, broke the story this morning, that she took a very important, a mandatory test that is required if she is going to actually eventually pass the bar and become a lawyer. It is an ethics test, essentially, and she took it on Wednesday. So we don't know the results yet, but she was in a room with a bunch of, normies. Imagine if you were taking the test that day.
Yeah, and then you walk in
look over
and she's there. It might be a little distracting. You know what? Credit to Kim. She doesn't have to do this. Obviously, she's got enough money. We know that she's busy with the 4 kids and all the complications that co-parenting with Kanye West creates.
Yes.
And the fact that the reason she's doing this is because she wants to help people who are less fortunate than her. She wants to honor her father's legacy as well. And I think it's great that she is doing this and has the ability to use her platform to inspire other people to potentially pursue a career in law as well.
She's been very effective in criminal justice reform. She got Alice Marie Johnson out of prison, basically. She's campaigned for a lot of people. This is something close to her heart. And we thought maybe, I thought she'd kind of lost interest in going into law because, like you said, it's been 4 years since she finally passed the baby bar. We haven't really heard much about it since, but this is a sign that she's not forgotten about it, and it's still something she cares about doing.
Yeah, and assuming that this test went well, the next step would be taking the bar, which we've heard she may be trying to pass that this summer. So it's getting closer.
Hi, I'm Danny from Miami. Honestly, it feels like I haven't heard about Kim Kardashian becoming a lawyer in years. It's probably been put in the back burner with all her other business ventures that are very successful, and becoming the Kris Jenner of the family with managing North's career. So good luck to her with passing that test and then the bar and then becoming a lawyer. Like, I would hire her, and if any celebrity can do it, she can.
Yeah, she won't have trouble getting clients. If,
I don't
they'll be lined up at the door.
What's her hourly rate, though?
Yeah. Very, very affordable, just like most LA attorneys.
Just like the Ford Focus.
Right. She's the Ford Focus of law?
Yeah.
All right, we are going to take a break. When we come back, how would you like a loan for your burrito or your burger or any food item you're ordering? DoorDash is now offering this. Sounds like a great deal, right?
Eat now, pay later.
Well, hold on before you start ordering. Damon John is going to be with us to follow the money when we come back. Well, this is an exciting, I think, for DoorDash users, exciting new product they've rolled out this week. It's buy now, pay later. Yes, a layaway plan when you order from DoorDash.
Yeah, they're working with a company called Klarna to try to make this happen. Apparently, if you spend over $35, you can pay for that food at a later date.
Pretty exciting, right? It means if you want to get a meal tonight, maybe you're waiting until payday so you can get something and you pay for it later. Yeah, that may seem like a great idea, but is it actually? And who's really making out here? We are following the money on DoorDash's, I don't want to say, it's certainly not a revolution here. This has been done before, but I've never heard of it with a food delivery service.
Sure.
So we are following the money with our buddy Damon John. Damon, what say you about the buy now, pay later for your $35 burrito?
How dangerous is this? This is really, really scary. You know, the thing is, listen, our kids are going to say, do you realize they used to actually have these things called paper, like money, and actually physical money? Because we're in that generation now that, you can swipe for everything, and that is creating massive amount of debt. But unlike when you buy things that you don't necessarily need, when you buy this, you need food. And when you eat it, it's gone. And you realize that this company, Klarna, they're in the business to make money. They're in the business for interest. They say if you don't know about interest, you're going to pay it. And if you know about it, you're going to earn it. This is very, very dangerous.
This seems to me like, I know I went through this when I was in college just with credit cards, right? So you've just given people another option now to run up their credit.
Correct, but when you have credit cards, which is also extremely dangerous, you're there and you're making these placements for food and things of that nature. You have that bill at the end of the month, but now it is going to be so frictionless, right? Listen, when you have money, when you break $100 bill, you realize that's it, right? It's going to go, right? Mm-hmm. When somebody takes money from you physically, give me that. Give me that. And you have to dig for it. But when you swipe for stuff like chicken fingers and a bunch of people over at the house, hey, you know what? I don't want to cook. Let's just order like this. Let's order like that. It is just going to naturally corrode because what happens is that becomes interest. That becomes way more. I know friends who say, listen, I had a great time at a party. I'm still paying for that because I opened up the bar and I bought a bunch of liquor and stuff like that. But that was in 2018. They're still paying for it, right? So you got to be very careful with that. This is really, really bad. And I think there should be legislation against something like this.
What is your advice, though, for folks who are hungry?
They're strapped.
Who are living paycheck to paycheck, which is so much of this country, who feel like they need something like this.
The best way for people who are hungry, or people who are, they're living paycheck to paycheck, is get into a consortium, get with a bunch of different families, and go and buy at Costco and various other things, and you split it up. And a lot of people do that, right? They can buy a whole turkey and then cut it up and things of that nature, or a lot of toilet paper and various other things, and you then basically save 15 to 20% on what you're going to spend anyway. It's not that easy because a lot of you're doing paycheck to paycheck. You're like, well, do I keep the lights on or I do this and that? You got to try to find ways to maximize. But these 10 and 20% increases in your annual, payout, it's a lot, and it adds up. That's why people don't usually know that when we shift from percentages of 1 point to 2 points in our economy, people look at it like, oh, that's not a lot. That's a massive, massive amount of interest changes. And this is really important. I would say, do not take advantage of this at all. Leave it. Don't touch it at all, and have that discipline of having to purchase.
I like what you said, though, Damon. I just want to go back to for a second what you said about the fact that there should be legislation against this. In the past, when Congress has stepped in to sort of rein in credit card companies, there's a word that has been used, which is predatory, that it feels like they're taking advantage of people who really need something that they actually have to have, in this case, to live. Is that what you would how you would see this going if it were even to get to Congress?
Yeah, I think that it'll be legislation such as you have to have, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000 in assets or in your bank account or various other things like that. The people that are going to most likely take advantage of this opportunity are those who need credit for some extension because they need to pay themselves today. But again, this is very, very dangerous. It can, of course, be predatory. That's why you see ads like no money down on cars and no money down. It's always no money down on things you don't need. And that's why, because these are, trying to get you in the system, and then you're locked in that system, and we're human beings. We go by habit. If you could just swipe tonight and not have to cook, and not have to worry about, hey, honey, get me the money, or, it's very, very dangerous. And I got to say, our follow the money people out there, have the discipline of not using it, because even if you set it up and you're good, your kids are just going to, do things of that nature, right? And it slowly corrodes.
Indeed. Well, Damon, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, guys. Peace.
Of course, DoorDash and the credit card companies always tell you, look, you know what you're getting into. It's right there, sometimes in fine print, but it's there. And so it's on the consumer to just be
And there
smart.
are some people who can probably do this responsibly, and it'll be really helpful for them.
And for them, that'll be great. Okay, we are going to take a break. When we come back,
Chet Hanks recreates a very famous film from his father.
Ooh, is it that role?
Well,
what everyone loves?
With Tom Hanks, there's so many that you could choose.
Yeah, that's a good point. Got to see this when we come back.
When you think about Tom Hanks, is there any line that is probably more iconic than "Run, Forrest, Run"?
Run, Forrest, run.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. And I guess Chet Hanks agrees with us. Boy, Chet Hanks is having a heck of a year.
Yeah.
He's got the show with Kate Hudson.
Running Point?
Yeah, he's got that. And now he's got new music where he is leaning into perhaps arguably his father's most famous role as Forrest Gump. Chet has a band that's called Something Out West, and the song is called
You Better Run.
You Better Run. So I think you know where this is going.
Like the devil's on your tail, like you broke out of jail, like a big storm's coming. Run like a wild Mustang, like a
Wait a second. The look on Tom Hanks' face.
That makes the whole thing.
He doesn't know. Like he showed up and he's like, wait, what's happening here? Is this what are the cameras doing here?
When I started watching this, I was like, what does Tom Hanks think of all this? And then he ends up being in the actual video. But Chet Hanks, he's always going to be Tom Hanks' son, so he really needs to tap into this. Do Castaway next. Do Big, whatever. I mean, to be completely honest, I've never seen Forrest Gump, but I've seen many a Chet Hayes music video.
Here's a guy who's leaning into the Nepo baby thing. And
Why not?
Doing it successfully.
He's probably struggled with that for so many years. Why not take advantage of it?
My name is Lindsay. I'm from Tampa, Florida. It was definitely a full circle moment to see, you know, somebody that Tom Hanks had played years ago, and it's being played by his own son. So I wasn't expecting him to show up in that music video, but it was so cool to see the father-son dynamic kind of being portrayed in this music video, for sure. Full circle.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best Tom Hanks movie of all time?
Personally, I do love Forrest Gump, and I know people say it's cheesy, and it is all of that, but that's kind of the charm of it.
I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah.
I love Forrest Gump. But there's so many great Tom
Lots
Hanks
to choose
movies.
from.
One of the best careers
Philadelphia.
ever. Yeah.
Amazing.
Apollo 13 is great.
Apollo
Castaway.
13. All right, we could go on forever.
Let's just do IMDb for the rest of the hour.
What else do you guys want to talk about?
Hey, it's Nene from Atlanta. And honestly, what did y'all expect from Will Smith? I think people forget that he was a rapper before he was anybody in the TV and movie industry. So I expected him to clap back and say what he really wanted to say in his song. I'm so happy that he's coming out with a new album, and I'm excited and happy and proud that he stuck up for his wife.
So you want to listen to his new music, and you would go see him in concert and want to see him perform these songs?
Duh. I'm a 90s girl. I grew up on Will Smith. Are you kidding me?
She's ready to get jiggy with
one
it.
ticket.
Yeah.
He sold a lot more than that.
Yeah.
One more.
Hi, my name is Lexi. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. Kanye is strange. That music video that North was in was kind of strange. So I don't know how Kim is dealing with all this because I couldn't. But I think that we should just hand North's career over to Grandma Chris and just let her run with it because we know that she knows how to work her magic. And then with all that confidence that North has, like, it's just going to skyrocket. And Kanye can just, keep doing what Kanye does.
Yeah, I don't know that Kanye's going to let up the reins that easily. Certainly not to Chris. We know his nickname for her. All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, Millie Bobby Brown and her husband Jake Bon Jovi, a little PDA at maybe the most inopportune time. You'll see what I mean when we come back.
Living on a prayer, baby.
Millie Bobby Brown clearly still in the newlywed phase. She and Jake Bon Jovi. They were down in Miami for the Miami Open tennis tournament and still doing a little PDA, which that's cool. Like we said, you're in the honeymoon phase. Is it awkward to do it though with your
very
father-in-law?
famous father-in-law, John Bon Jovi,
sitting right there?
Well, we don't know. See, a picture is hard to tell. That could have just been a quick smooch.
By the way, have you ever been to a tennis tournament? My favorite thing at a tennis tournament is to sit behind the baselines and watch everyone on the sidelines go like this.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I'm easily amused.
It is hilarious. And
and expensive, though.
Exactly. And those seats look very, very nice. Whatever that leather chair was
They
nice.
can afford it.
Yeah.
That is going to do it for us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Thanks.